This is a CBS News special report. I'm Charlie Rose with Nora O'Donnell in New York. President Obama is about to comment on last night's airstrikes against ISIS and other militants inside Syria. The president is getting ready to leave the White House. He will be going to New York for today's UN Climate Summit.
These attacks by U.S. warplanes and ships are the first inside Syria. American forces have hit ISIS targets inside Iraq nearly 200 times. 5 Arab nations from the president's coalition against ISIS took part in last night's mission. Major Garrett is at the White House. Major, what do you expect to hear from the president?
Nor we expect the president to describe the airstrikes in Syria as highly successful in a military context. It is important to point out that the United States, through its UN ambassador Samantha Power, informed the Syrian government that the airstrikes were coming, but warned the Syrians not to engage U.S. and coalition aircraft. No advance warning was given on the timing or the targets, and no permission was sought for these airstrikes in Syria. Also in New York, just moments ago, the Iranian president, Hassan Rouhani, declared the airstrikes by the coalition in the United States illegal and said Syria should have been asked for permission. Nor we expect the president here at the microphones of the South Lawn in just a moment.
That's right, and we see the president now walking across the South Lawn as he approaches the podium. He's coming to New York to meet with leaders here at the UN.
Here is the president.
Good morning, everybody. Last night, on my orders, America's armed forces began strikes against ISIL targets in Syria. Today, the American people give thanks for the extraordinary service of our men and women in uniform, including the pilots who flew these missions with the courage and professionalism that we've come to expect from the finest military that the world's ever known. Earlier this month, I outlined for the American people our strategy to confront the threat posed by the terrorist group known as ISIL. I made clear that as part of this campaign, the United States would take action against targets in both Iraq and Syria, so that these terrorists can't find safe haven anywhere. I also made clear that America would act as part of a broad coalition, and that's exactly what we've done. We were joined in this action by our friends and partners, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Jordan, Bahrain, and Qatar. America's proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with these nations on behalf of our common security. The strength of this coalition makes it clear to the world that this is not America's fight alone. Above all, the people and governments of the Middle East are rejecting ISIL and standing up for the peace and security that the people of the region and the world deserve. Meanwhile, we will move forward with our plan, supported by bipartisan majorities in Congress, to ramp up our effort to train and equip the Syrian opposition, who are the best counterweight to ISIL and the Assad regime. And more broadly, over 40 nations have offered to help in this comprehensive effort to confront this terrorist threat, to take out terrorist targets, to train and equip Iraqi and Syrian opposition fighters who are going up against ISIL on the ground, to cut off ISIL's financing, to counter its hateful ideology, and to stop the flow of fighters into and out of the region. Last night, we also took strikes to disrupt plotting against the United States and our allies by seasoned al-Qaeda operatives in Syria who are known as the Khorasan Group. And once again, it must be clear to anyone who would plot against America and try to do Americans harm that we will not tolerate safe havens for terrorists who threaten our people. I've spoken to leaders in Congress, and I'm pleased that there is bipartisan support for the actions that we're taking. America is always stronger when we stand united, and that unity sends a powerful message to the world that we will do what's necessary to defend our country. Over the next several days, I will have the opportunity to meet with Prime Minister Abadi of Iraq and with friends and allies at the United Nations to continue to building support for the coalition that is confronting this serious threat to our peace and security. The overall effort will take time. There will be challenges ahead, but we're going to do what's necessary to take the fight to this terrorist group, for the security of the country and the region, and for the entire world. Thanks. God bless our troops. God bless America.
And there you have the President of the United States speaking for the first time after the U.S. and some Arab nations launched these coordinated attacks inside Syria. Interesting to hear, Charlie, the President describing them as successful, and more of the strategy continues.
And ending by saying we'll do what's necessary.
In order to make sure, yeah. And specifically for the first time, I've not heard him mention the Khorasan group, something that Mike Morrell on our show mentioned about a week ago, this group inside Syria that may be plotting an imminent attack against the United States.
And he mentioned the 5 Arab countries in terms of Saudi Arabia and United Arab Republic, the Emirates, and Bahrain, and Qatar. Did not mention the Egyptians, did not mention some other groups that you think might be urged to participate.
Yeah, we'll hear more from the president as he travels here to New York, the United Nations. And our coverage will continue throughout the day on the CBS station and tonight on the CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley.